Hello and welcome back to my little hovel. Uh, if you're watching for the first time, my name is Grace. This is my channel. I talk about cards, folk magic, um, stuff I'm interested in. Okay, so this is one of those. I decided to just, sit down and have a coffee with you guys and talk about what I've been up to. So I can't believe like it's already a third of the year has gone by, and I think I spent the first 4 months of this year just figuring myself out, figuring things out. I don't even know how to describe it. There was a lot of goal setting, like there is every year for me at the end of last year. And then the first part of this year, there was a lot of resetting goals. You know what I mean? It's like you set these goals, right? And then you go, no, that's really not where I'm wanting to go with my life this year, whatever. You know what I'm saying? Also, there's goals that are attainable. There's goals that are just too easily attainable. You're already doing them. Like there's not even any point. I feel there's no point in focusing them other than to encourage me to set new goals. So all this talk about goals is because towards the end of this video, after I talk about other stuff, I'm going to do another one of those tarot tips kind of things where I'll show you how I utilize tarot for goal setting. So let's start with just a few things, some favorites. Some favorite things, some things I've been enjoying this year so far. I have to say that I have been enjoying solitude and, just the hermit life, right? But at the same time, I think I've been also enjoying sharing a little bit more. Well, I don't know if I'm really sharing a bit more. To me, it feels like I'm sharing a little bit more. I feel like I'm having more conversations with people that I know online, offline, and it's it's a good reset. It's a good reset. Also, I'm consuming a lot less content in general that is um, that is promotional. So over like across the board. So I'm not consuming any content online as much as possible that promotes any kind of product whatsoever, because I'm not shopping for anything whatsoever for now. I've also been enjoying those of you who have been following me for a long time or have had conversations with me know that I'm a perfume collector, and I have a perfume collection. Fragrance, I would call it fragrance because it's not all, like, I'm very specific with language. Perfume is like, a concentration rather than just a fragrance, right? So I have quite a substantial, for me, fragrance collection. I think it's substantial for anybody. I think that the average person probably who wears fragrance probably just has a handful of fragrance. And I have at least 100 varieties, and my collection is inherited, for the most part. A lot of it is inherited, and it functions as a time machine for me. It's the scent, the fragrances of people that are no longer living, or of a place and time that, fragrances I wore in a certain place and time in order for time travel and, you know, uh, visiting with the deceased, whatever, however you want to describe it. So I spent yesterday. I'll talk about yesterday because I spent probably hours, probably most of the day yesterday, just on Fragrantica, um, straightening out my shelves. What I have, what I've had. To the best of my ability, I tried to remember all the ones I had. Fragrantica allows you to have shelves where you can have your collection, your virtual collection, up on their website. A lot like a book app would do with your bookshelf. Fragrantica, I think it's .com or .net, I can't remember, is international. It's an international website. So, wherever you are in the world, that's the language you see it in. And it was a very relaxing experience to just categorize my fragrances, put them up on these shelves, what I have, what I've had in the past, revisit some of them because it has the scent pyramid for each fragrance. I have some that are not in the database at all because they are ancient. But for the most part, what I have is there. And it was an interesting exercise, and also revisit, because you revisit the past, right? It's like the limbic, like the olfactory memory is tied into the limbic system of the brain, which is the oldest part of our brain, and scent is the strongest conjurer of memories. So it was interesting to not only revisit what I used to wear, let's say even 30 years ago, and how I've changed, how some things have remained the same. I've had the same signature scent since I was 10 years old, since the age of 10, but how the I cycle through modern fragrance a lot because I don't like modern fragrance. It's very rare that I find modern fragrance that appeals to me. So, why am I talking about fragrance for like over 5 minutes? Because it was that revisiting the past, that gaining that awareness of, oh right, I used to wear this when I did not know who I was yet. Or I didn't know myself yet. Which translates to acquiring tarot decks and oracle decks. I made the connection yesterday that, oh, right, this is the fragrance equivalent of me revisiting and seeing what I was wearing in the early 90s that totally, I would never wear that stuff today. I don't even want to smell it today. Uh, but it kind of, and a lot of it is because it's got bad memories tied into it, right? So that's why I have that reaction to it. Not because they were horrible fragrances, but there's the memories, that are attached to it. But also that recognition of, oh, yeah, I could see why I wore this because it smelled good, but I didn't know myself yet. And then I looked at my current tarot and oracle decks and I thought, oh, right, I see now what remains and what I'm currently drawn to, because there was the utilitarian tarot deck that I've always had since the 80s. Very much like a fragrance that smelled good on me. was appropriate, did the job. It scented me and it finished, la toilette, like we say in French. But it wasn't an expression of who I am. So it was a tool that I used, and it wasn't, and it did its job. But going back to, it's not an expression of who I am. Currently, I feel that the tarot decks and oracle decks that I have curated are an expression of who I am. A lot of them, many, probably most, speak the language of my inner world. So that was just, wanted to share how revisiting one collection helped me understand another. And I don't have a vast tarot and oracle deck collection like I do with my fragrances, because my fragrances are also a library. Like I said, a library, a time machine, mausoleum. So let's talk about some other things that I've enjoyed this last little while. So ages and ages ago, I still have like a short wish list. And like they're pie in the sky kind of things. Like, this is deck related. We're talking about decks now. They're pie in the sky kind of. It's if I happen if I come across it in my travels or whatever, if I have an opportunity, but I'm not actively hunting for any of these decks, nor am I actively, I'm none of that. It's on a list. Hey, if I come across it affordably. Sorry, I have so much to say about that. But anyway, I've already said it in other videos. I don't need to revisit it now. But if I come across any of these affordably, then I will, of course, consider them because I've wanted them for a long time. I had the opportunity last month to obtain the Wooden Tarot and the Earthbound Oracle together from the same person at a really affordable price that I wasn't even sure, but I knew that I had wanted them like years and years ago. And so I went ahead and I got it. Not to sound like, there's no reason to be coy. It's like $30 Canadian for both of them, plus shipping in Canada was unreal. But anyway, and I feel very fortunate, and they're in excellent condition too. I don't think the person used them much. The boxes have somewhere. And I'll show you what it looks like. I imagine that if you're watching me, you know what this one looks like. This one has the eyeball on the backs with the triple moon phase. And the artist, this is art that was done on actual wood. And it's bizarre. Oh my God, this is one of my favorite cards. The Chariot. Fungi on a snail. Yeah, it's not a flip through. I'm sure there's wonderful flip throughs on YouTube for you to look at. But what I wanted to give a shout out to, which I've already left a comment there, but I want to give a shout out to Cosmic Creeper, because she did an excellent video walkthrough of this tarot deck. I think the video is like 4 years old, and it was the best thing ever, because when I received mine, I watched her video and did I put it in order when I got it and did all the things that I do with a deck when I obtain it, mostly when it's secondhand. This whole have this whole procedure ritual. The deck, each card is cleansed of of any residual energy, and then placed in order, and all yada yada yada. Sometimes the corners are tweaked because if the corners are not even or whatever, take my little corner rounder and I do a little tweaking. Anyway, it was really just a shout out to Cosmic Creeper because she makes like the best videos when it comes to walking through a tarot deck. At least for me, maybe a lot of it. Okay, so there could be a lot going on there with the fact that we do have things in common in terms of, I don't know if it's because we're both Leos, if we're both a little morose. I tend a little melancholy. I think like on a cellular level, we may have some things in common in terms of what we've experienced. I'm not sure, but I kind of feel like we do. So I really, I just wanted to say that was like probably the highlight of my week was going through this new to me deck with her video, and I'm just feeling a little, not a little, I'm feeling a lot more into tarot than I had been for quite some time. And I've talked about this on my Patreon, and when people describe that they have like tarot burnout and spiritual burnout, it's not tarot burnout. You have it's in my observation, okay, my amateur observation, it's tarot shopping burnout. It's tarot acquisition burnout. It's tarot hunting and it's deck hunting and all that stuff. That's what we get burned out with. That burns us out. Also, spirituality and divination are cyclical practices. I can't remember a time in my life where I read cards consistently for myself, nonstop for decades. No. If anything, I could tell you that the entire time I was in college, I only picked up my cards to read for other people when they asked me to. When my kids were little, same exact thing. I only picked up my cards when someone asked me for a reading. You know, everything has its season, right? And spirituality is the same kind of thing. I go for years where it's an outward expression, and now I'm in my inward expression of my spirituality. And I think it's the same for a lot of people because of the conversations I've been having. It checks out. So last week, I was in Vancouver for about 36 hours for my husband had a work function, and I was his date. I was his plus one. That sounds so weird. I don't know what I was trying to say. Anyway, as we were heading out of town, I didn't feel like it, but we happened to be in the vicinity of Metaphysical shop, which I won't name because it is not at all the same place it was the last time I was there pre-pandemic. For many reasons, a lot of businesses, but I think it changed ownership, and it's basically, it used to be this really cozy shop, and it was twice the size, and it felt very 2010s kind of thing. Whereas the store I walked into last week was very 1990s. A lot of that, excuse me, a lot of those it was more or less a crystals shop, and of dubious origin, and that's why I'm not going to mention the name of the store at all. So when I walked in, this is what I wanted to bring up. So I I've always been this way. I've always found it, I've always been annoyed when I walk into a metaphysical shop. Not that I'm wearing a t-shirt that says, hey, I'm a metaphysical practitioner. I'm not wearing a sign. I'm not wearing a sign on my forehead that says I read cards. But if you own a metaphysical shop and I walk into your shop and I go straight to tarot decks, why is the first thing the person behind the counter says to me is, "Oh, our card reader, our tarot reader is here today if you would like a reading, or our psychic reader is here today if you would like a reading." At the moment I've walked into the shop, I haven't even asked if, they have a reader on site. And I'm shopping, like I'm looking at the tools of the trade. I don't know why it bugs me. It bugs me even more now than it used to, probably because I'm crankier, because I'm getting older. But I just find that so predatory, where you walk into this shop and right away you're accosted with, "Oh, a reader is here if you want a reading." First of all, my first reaction to that is like, no. and and I'm a reader. So imagine how someone who is not a reader feels being accosted the second they walk in with, "A reader is here if you would like a reading." I don't know if I'm getting my point across, but I find it predatory and I find it kind of gross. I'm just saying. I'm just putting this out there. So if you own a store of this genre and you do this, I'm letting you know this is what it feels like to someone like me walking in. If I want a reading, I'll go look for someone who does readings. If this is like now I read for myself for the most part. But if I'm walking into your store and I'm looking at the tools of the trade, don't do that. Just don't do that. You know what I mean? Like, qualify your customer a little bit. You know what I mean? Have a little conversation with them instead of accosting them with the upsell or whatever. Upsell. Okay, that's enough. In this store, they had a shelf with some used tarot decks. They didn't have much in terms of decks at all. They didn't have much in terms of books either. It really looked like they were transitioning to just having crystals and tons of satya incense and stuff made of brass. I think I paint the picture. But there was one deck, and I'm trying to remember what was on the shelf. I think there was a, oh my God. Spiral tarot? Yeah, there was a spiral tarot there, which I had once upon a time, but it's this one that got my attention because it was really weird looking. So, okay, it's probably hard to see it on camera, especially because I did a homebrew lamination of the box like I do with tuck boxes I want to keep with just plain old Scotch tape. It's called The Beginner's Tarot by Chris Russell. This is a local Vancouver homebrew deck. Okay? This is... there is a website for the creator, but their website mentions nothing of this tarot deck. They're a registered clinical counselor. I opened the box because I needed to see what this looked like. Okay, and I don't have it in order, but it doesn't matter. So it's Rider-Waite-Smith, but the Fool. I looked at this card, and it took a while for me to remember where I know it from. This is from Osho Zen Tarot. And there's a few cards in here that are that are imagery from Osho Zen. Most of it, though, is redrawn and recolored Rider-Waite Smith or Waite Smith. And I bought it, one, because it was like cheap, right? Because use that homebrew. The colors are freaking far out. Some of the faces are redrawn. So usually, and okay, I should have prepared this better. Usually the Four of Pentacles, if you have a Waite Smith deck, look at it. To me, it looks like Benicio del Toro. And the Nine of Cups, John Travolta. This looks like he drew John Travolta. Like redrew the face to look kind of more like John Travolta on the Four of Pentacles. The recoloration, though, it's freaking charming. And I guess what I didn't mention is Beginner's Tarot. It has keywords at the top, but they're pretty unobtrusive because I even forgot to mention them. And these like green borders. The coloration of it, not that it's the same. It's not the same, but I've always wanted, theoretically, I've always wanted a Carol Herzer tarot deck. Carol Herzer is an artist, and she hand draws, hand colors. There's glitter involved. My understanding is that the cards are hand laminated as well, so it's quite thick. It's more of it's not something I'd be able to shuffle, but I've always been drawn to them. I absolutely love what she does with Waite Smith, with Pamela Coleman Smith's art, with color and glitter and all that stuff. Well, this deck has it had that appeal to me. Like it appealed to me in that manner. Just like when so here's one of the cards that I looked at and I said, I know these chicks. Osho Zen. And they show up in another card as well. So although it's not at all Carol Herzer, and some of this is pretty far out, I freaking love it. Look at these backs. Oh, there's one card, the Nine of Pentacles, that has a woman on it. Like, it has that art I really cannot stand, which is the photo realism kind of photo manipulation. You know, a la Doreen Virtue. I wonder if that is kind of, I don't know if it's Doreen Virtue. Perhaps it's the creator's sister, partner, whatever, mother, who knows. The faces, though, are just a scream. Look at this guy. He looks shell-shocked. Some of the cards recall other, like this makes me think of the Albano Waite because of the color of the pentacles. Magician is blonde against the night sky. Strength, I love, it looks like her hair has been replaced with just greenery. Look at this, hot pink. Nine of Cups still looks like John Travolta. So yeah, I'm not going to do a full flip through, but just to give you an idea of this crazy deck I picked up last week. Here's one more. Okay, let me see if there's... Oh my God, look at this. Yeah, so if in your travels you see somebody's homebrew, take a look. I like I said, I looked up this this person's website, which is on the box, and it has nothing about the tarot deck on it at all. No mention of it at all. It's mostly their therapy business. It is a website that for their therapy business. Okay, so that was the new decks that have come into my world recently. Sorry, my hair is like always in my face, always in my way. The other thing I wanted, oh yeah, so let me see. I have a list because you know me, I gotta stay on topic. Okay, so I want to talk. So okay, I'm gonna throw the hashtag. I'm gonna make sure that I add the hashtag in the description because while I'm yapping here, I thought I'd talk to you since I already showed you the new tarot decks and that have entered my life. My I'm not going to talk about my. I'm going to do a ranking of decks at some point, either here or on Instagram, or both. I don't know. We'll see. Maybe an Instagram post will inspire a video and vice versa. But instead, let's get to Oracle decks with attitude. I think I did mention one of them in my previous video, but not in the context of Oracle deck with attitude. So I'm going to get it out of the way. Right, I'm going to get it right out of the way. So remember last video. If you watched my last video, I talked about the Wheel of the Year tarot. That one didn't make it. That one's going to go. I just can't. When I have tarot decks that I have a strong bond with, that are that read like they practically sing, I don't have patience to work with the ones that don't intrigue me. So that one's going. I think I mentioned in my last video about Brady Tarot. That one intrigues me. I love it. I just have difficulty physically negotiating it. You know what I mean? Shuffling or whatever. But I find it intriguing, and it really does. It speaks the language of my inner world and my spiritual world. So, all right. Stop. Let's get back on track. Oracles with attitude. So, of course, my first one lives in this cute little ridiculous bag I made that's supposed to look like a tree. And I put a little button on it, a little mushroom house. Is my Tarot of the Gnomes. It's a Lo Scarabeo deck. The art is by Antonio Lupitelli. I consider this an oracle deck, not so much tarot deck, even though it has major arcana, because the minors are basically like cartomancy, and they really do their own thing. Check her out. So this is Two of Cups Harvest. Like, that's really doing its own thing. That's not, But attitude, this one, it has it in spades because it can be really cryptic. So most of the times it comes across as really cryptic. Like, I will draw some cards and on a situation, and it'll give me an answer that looks to be completely out of left field, totally incoherent. Sometimes it is totally incoherent. It has absolutely nothing at all to do with the question at hand. And then I find out it did. And it was just me being obtuse. So this is one. It doesn't mince words. There's no feelings with this one, because it's very Italian cartomancy in that respect. And when I say very Italian cartomancy, is that Italian cartomancy decks are very particular. And I'm using the word particular because in Italian we say veramente particolare. To say something is of its own thing. And Italian cartomancy decks, even tarot decks, but especially the cartomancy, or what they call tarocchi. And tarocchi, Italian tarocchi cards could be, this is considered tarocchi, and it's not really the tarot that we know. And it doesn't even resemble Marseille or ancient Italian like the Visconti Sforza or anything like that. It's not even a pip deck. This is like its own other. It's doing its own thing, very similar to other tarocchi I've owned that are Italian. Like I had Tarocco Indovino, and that one was strange. Enough for me. Sibylla, those of you that read Lenormand and have tried out, let's say, Kipper and Sibylla, Sibylla is very particular because it's culturally specific. It, just like this, is very culturally specific. So this one, I have to be in the mood to engage with my ancestors. And not literally even, just in concept. Because, and this will probably come up later on at some point, but Italians are very particular. I'm just gonna leave it at that. And put this one away. All right, the next one I'm going to talk about is because a lot of people, mine lives in this bag. This is the first bag I ever made, and I made it specifically for them. You can probably guess what it is just by the 7-pointed star. This is one that I'm sure a lot of people, well, okay, I'm not sure. I didn't watch the other videos yet. I didn't check them out. But Brian Froud's Fairies. So this I've had, I want to say 20 years at least. For sure 20 years. And I have like Scotch tape on one of the cards just because I received it a little mangled. But it's fine. It's I use this weekly. I use this one weekly, and it's usually there's a fairy on my altar weekly that, you know, for guidance and to give me, you know, maybe that could be a whole video where I talk about what I do with my oracle cards, oracle decks, and the ones that I use on my altar for guidance and what I get out of them, like how I utilize them. But I think, okay, this is what happened. I used to feel that these guys had attitude, was an oracle deck with attitude, until I got these. And then these guys suddenly felt nurturing and much safer in comparison to the gnomes. So that has to do with more of, that's comparison more than anything else. But I have to say that this is an oracle deck that has a very similar range to tarot, and this is why it's in my top oracle decks. This one this is called a tarocchi or tarocco of Tarot of the Gnomes, right? But this one actually has the depth and breadth of comparable to tarot. This one. Okay. And the last two have attitude as well. And I think that's it for my oracle decks with attitude. So, like this one, I guess what I want to say is that this one feels nurturing and safe compared to gnomes, but it doesn't mince words, and it really does. You get the sense of calling yourself out on your shit when you read with this deck. When I read with this deck, I feel like I'm calling myself out on my shit that I didn't know was there until they brought it up. I don't know, people. I'm trying. I'm a little out of practice with these type of videos, so bear with me. And the last two, I read them together because each one on its own is meh. And they're both by the same creator, Marcella Kroll. So this is Sacred Symbols for Divination and Meditation Oracle deck by Marcella Kroll. This is the one by Sterling Ethos. This is the mass market one. I got this one in 2022. And this is Nature Nurture, also by Marcella Kroll. I got this one as well, I think, in 2022. Or did I get this one first? Doesn't matter. This one, I think is now, this one started out as an indie deck, but I have the mass market. This one is the indie deck. And I think it's currently available mass market. Individually, I don't know. So I used this one for the longest time on its own. I'll show you what it looks like in case you haven't seen it. I love hand-drawn decks, and this one does not disappoint. Neither does the other one for the hand-drawn aesthetic. On its own, it's always been a little underwhelming. Even if I draw more than one card, it's always been a little underwhelming. So I put it aside. I had this one first, and it was always a little underwhelming. Let me show you. These are little cards. They're glossy. They're so freaking cute. Okay. So yeah, this one's a little underwhelming. The guidebooks, I feel. Also, they don't. I'm not a guidebook person, right? It's like I have to be able, except for Fraud's Fairies. I think everything else, it's like I have to be able to ignore the guidebook because I'm not a guidebook person, right? But so on their own, really, individually, really, really underwhelming. And then one day, I can't remember when this occurred. I got the idea, you know what? I'm going to try them out together. Because, I see. Why not? Because, sorry about that. If I knocked the mic or whatever, or the camera. I'm going to try them out together because they were in my purgatory box, or rather, to give away box for most of the time I've owned them. Okay, just because they were. And if you follow me on Instagram, I posted a few of these readings on Instagram because together they got attitude. So I'm gonna do this live, like in front of a studio audience, to see if it happens on camera. I'm gonna pick one card at random from here, which I've selected and it's face down, and one card at random from this guy. I'm gonna look away, and let's see if it if it's shy, or if it shows off its attitude. So we have healer and unconscious. Sometimes, I didn't ask a question, so this is just to show you healer and unconscious. On its own, unconscious, on its own, healer, but you combine healer and unconscious, and depending on what's going on in your life, what 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 mystery of life you're contemplating, what guidance you're seeking, these two can really like hone right in on what your concerns are, or really hone in and give a very, very clear, focused, and helpful reading. But on their own, seriously, I don't know how they survived so many culls, but I'm glad they did. And I really do enjoy them, even when I don't like the message, because, again, attitude. It's all attitude. And if you follow me on Instagram, you could take a look at some pictures where I've posted some readings I've gotten with these two combined, and sometimes it's been very striking. So I don't know if I did that tag any justice. I did want to share that these are the ones that have attitude, that I only go to when I'm prepared to interact with their attitude. And now I wanted to share a little tarot tip, or something that I do when it comes to goal setting. All right. For this, I'm going to use my badly trimmed old friend, because just happened to be always on my desk. So this is Bad Haircut is his nickname. All right. So I utilize tarot a lot when I find that I'm in my own way a lot. So this really comes up a lot for me with goal setting and achieving my goals and doing the work to achieve the goals. When I'm feeling paralyzed, sometimes I analyze things to death and I'm just paralyzed by it. Sometimes I catch myself in the age-old doing the same thing over and over again and expecting a different result, which is the definition of insanity. Not the diagnosis, just the mental state. No, we don't diagnose here. So I'm gonna give an example. So let's suppose I'm gonna pick something really I don't know, mundane. Suppose you're wanting to get healthier, okay? You're not feeling well. I'm gonna give the example. You're not feeling well, and you're not feeling your best. Probably you've been eating a lot of junk food. You've been, smoking too much, drinking too much, whatever it is that you do that's too much, that is not conducive to your health, and you want to set some health goals. So you set these health goals, and I don't know. I love the example of the New Year's resolutions, right? I go to the gym 3 times a week or 5 times a week, whatever it is. I'm gonna go to the gym. I'm gonna eat healthy. I'm gonna drink more water, whatever. And you don't keep up with it. You fall off the wagon, so to speak, which I don't like that example, but I'm going to use that one because it's pretty, universal in terms of metaphor. Well, I like to take, so when I find myself where I'm beating my head against a wall because I've set a goal for something and I keep standing in my own way, sabotage, self-sabotage, whatever the case is, I like to take it to tarot. And this is a question I would ask. So, first thing I would ask is, what do I need to do in order to achieve goal number 1? Okay. Let's say it's get enough sleep. And so, I don't know, we'll just work with whatever card comes out. How's that? Yeah, this one I got overhand shuffle because it's like a little linoleum tile. A little stack of linoleum tiles. Linoleum tiles, okay. So, well. So, here's the Queen of Pentacles. And so I asked the question, goal number 1, getting enough sleep. What do I need to do in order to get enough sleep? The Queen of Pentacles is often associated, when I read, with health of the body. The Queen of Cups is health of the emotions and the emotional status, and Queen of Pentacles, this was like, it's kind of cool that this came out. I associate it with bodily health. Well, the Queen of Pentacles is telling me, well, if to get enough sleep, you need to prioritize yourself. You need to prioritize your health. Okay. Why? What is blocking me? The next question is, because obviously I'm not getting enough sleep in this example. Oh my God. Obviously I'm not getting enough sleep in this example. And I'm not I'm not prioritizing my health, my bodily health. So the next question I take to the tarot is, what am I doing? Why am I stopping myself? What is it, or even more specifically, what is it that I'm doing? What's the driving force? What's the mental state that is causing me to not prioritize my health? So let's see what the tarot says to that one. And we got Queen of Wands. Interesting. So obviously, I'm not prioritizing the physical body because Wands is fire, because I'm focusing too much either on inspiration, so I'm up here in the artist's zone, or I'm more involved in things I'm doing rather than sitting back. Like, so my outward expression, because I'm a Leo, Queen of Wands, my outward expression, doing, acting, outward expression versus taking it back to the body. Okay. Also, when you read for yourself, you kind of know what your deck is saying to you, what your spirits are saying to you, if you believe that you're speaking to spirits, because if you don't, I don't know who you think you're speaking to, but that is not up to me to... This could be also construed a little bit as a criticism. Well, you should really be focusing on this, the mundane, and, take care of the body you live in, and the rest will follow. Go to bed. What So my example is a little flimsy, but you know what I mean? Let's say I'm really having a difficult time with getting past my Queen of Wandish kind of outward expression, go, 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 party animal. Right? Suppose the example here is that I'm a party animal. That's why I'm not getting enough sleep. What can what I take to the tarot deck now? I'm sorry, guys, if this was like totally on the fly. This is all improvised. So what would I take to my tarot deck now? I would say, okay, I need to rein this in. What can I do right now, in this moment, to rein this in so I can make this the priority? Let's see what we get. I find this really incredibly helpful with any kind of goal setting. Well, in the context of this make-believe reading, this is telling me, how do you rein this in? You got to realize that you're burned out, or you got to realize that you're burning out, or you got to realize you need to face this. Okay? It's pretty fucked up. You got to go to bed earlier. You got to prioritize. You have to prioritize your health, because this lifestyle is leading here. Usually when it comes to goal setting, the third card, what can I do right now, is the warning. It doesn't tell me what my next step is, but it's usually the smack in the face of like, this is where you're heading. Even though I asked, what can I do right now to fix it? Well, you got to recognize what the problem is. You have to recognize what the consequences of your actions are. So then I will go back again, and I'm just telling you exactly the way it works for me, because you'll find your own way once you try this out this way, if you care to try it out. And if you do try it out, please share in the comments. Come back and let me know. Let us all know how it went. So I'm going to ask, okay, I recognize that this lifestyle is it's not good. What can I do right now? What do I need to focus on right now to rein this in, to rectify this? Like, what's my next step forward to help myself? Because I want to achieve my goal of being healthier. Okay, I love that this card came out, because I'm not sure if I've done it yet on my experiential meaning of the cards, but if I haven't, it'll be coming up soon. But let's look at it in the context of, so this is my goal: physical health, being whole, right? Solid physical health. This is the lifestyle that's preventing it. Partying too hard. Like I said, this is all fake. This is not a real reading. I don't party at all, guys. But anyway, this is the consequences. These are the consequences, or this is the consequence of prioritizing this over this. And what can I do right now? Stop. Stop. Whatever you're doing, just stop. This is the stop card. Stop. Just stop. Person has no choice but to hang there. Stop and surrender to the wisdom of this the wisdom that will take you to this goal. And what's the wisdom? Usually this card comes out when it's very, very straightforward. Surrender. Stop. Surrender. Whatever it is you're doing is wrong in this context, right? So you have to do a 180. I hope my off the cuff, on the fly, kind of improvised, fake reading, but not really so fake. You know what I mean? Like, the wisdom is there. It just doesn't apply to my situation personally. But if you're out there and you got something out of this, just stop, surrender, and just stop what you're doing. Surrender to the wisdom of how to attain your goal. I hope this was helpful. I hope it was at least interesting. I think I'm going to do this kind of thing at the end of my videos, but also I did see a comment from one of you saying that you would like separate short videos where I cover this kind of stuff, and I'm going to do that as well. But this was just me wanting to do a little chatty catch up, talk about what I've been doing, what I've been thinking, and what I've been enjoying. I hope wherever you are in the world that you're having a wonderful day. I wish you a wonderful week, and I will see you in the next one.